embraces such a broad variety of.
I'd like to call the June 3rd, 2021 meeting of the Board of Architectural Review to order. And I understand on the agenda we have this Santana first, but I believe they are joining a little later, so we're going to move them down the agenda. And O'Neill and Gordon applicants, you are now first. Could you tell us what's changed since our last discussion?
Sure. Well, it's really, I'm Brian Natinsky. I'm the architect working with Adam and Christina. So it was really providing additional information that was requested at the last hearing, the beginning of last month. So if I can share, I'll show you, I'll just jump into what has been added, what materials.
Sounds good.
So are you able to see my drawing?
I am.
Okay, great. So one of the things that was requested was an elevation that was showing all the new structures and the existing house that would show the relationships between the different buildings and the gates and what was existing and what was added. So what I've provided, there's an upper elevation which shows the new buildings starting on the left, which is the greenhouse. And then there's a new gate that's proposed. The main house, which is showing the changes that we proposed with a new elevation, new windows, trimming off the roof. And then as you move to the right, there's an additional new gate, which is at the other end of that curved driveway. And then all the way to the right is the garage. And the garage,
sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, Ryan. It's
Sure.
an amendment to the existing gate that's already there.
Right.
So if you were to go, you'll see the gate posts in the same locations.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, I apologize. We're replacing what's existing and adding the wooden gates to them and reworking the stone piers. So what's shown below is what is with the planting that's existing. So all of the planting that we're showing is existing planting, that we're not proposing new planting. And then just below this, I'm going to scroll down to the site plan. And zoom in on the area where we're doing the addition for the greenhouse. And so showing existing trees, and it was asked us to show what we would have to remove for the new construction. So there's really two trees that are going to come down. There's some that are close that we'll try to preserve, if we can, with the new foundations. And one thing that I didn't submit, but I just wanted to show you, was a photograph, which is looking towards, it's taken looking toward at the end of the greenhouse, the end furthest away from the house, looking back, to just show you that in that area, it's really just a few small trees. All the larger trees are along the road in this area. One other request that came up last meeting was a material sample. We had proposed cladding the framing for the greenhouse, everything that's exposed on the exterior, with a zinc material, Rhine zinc. So those were sent to John, and hopefully were distributed to everybody. So you had a chance to see
I
that.
do have that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's what's proposed as the exterior cladding. So for the structure, other than the stone wall, it's going to be this stone material and then the glass for the greenhouse enclosure.
Mm-hmm.
And really, those were the things that came up at the last meeting that we provided you. I don't know if you have any additional questions regarding this or want to see any additional material.
Well, our Andy, our architect, did have some comments. I imagine you've received them.
I did.
And I think some of these may, as he would acknowledge, may be just tweaks necessary to the drawings. But is there anything that substantively, Andy and Mr. Architect, that we should address here?
One thing that came up, he was asking about some topography that's shown in the greenhouse at the elevation, and I'm gonna go to that drawing. It was number 10. I'll just go to that first.
Mhm.
So in this elevation, up at the top of the page,
Okay, that's good.
yeah, the topography is showing, a hill on the left, which is towards the north of the site, at the farthest end of the greenhouse. And what that is representing, I'll go back to the site plan. There's just a small hill that's right alongside the road where that view of the front elevation is cut and drawn through. So this is, if you look at the site plan, and hopefully it'll stop scrolling before it
Yeah, and I'm
disappears
glad
from
you
the screen.
added that
It's this.
elevation without the trees in it, because that takes care of, I think number 7 that I had on here, on my comments too. So
Yes,
now that you,
exactly.
before
I
you
added my
all the
initial.
way. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I was gonna say my initial submittal had shown the trees along the road. So I added that additional elevation with those removed. So you could see the buildings more clearly. But
you may lose more than 3 trees here too, because any tree that, the root system, like I can see towards the left-hand side on, those 2, they're probably gonna go. If your roots are gonna be affected by the foundation, you got a couple on the right-hand side too. So just be aware, you might try, you might not be successful in saving those. But you are screened from the road, so maybe not so bad.
yeah, but the trees.
The main thing on comments is that there are a couple things about dimensions, and really, just so you know, when you go to the BZA, they're not going to be real concerned with the elevations. So if you don't have some of the dimensions on of like the size of the garage and how big it is now and how big it's becoming, that some of those comments were in regards to that. So
Yeah,
just they're probably things you should clear up before you go to the BZA.
they were actually on the last submittal for the last hearing, and on this one,
Right.
for that sheet, unfortunately,
Yep.
that layer had not printed. So I added them, and I can resend these to you.
Yeah, we were just curious if something had changed, but it sounds like
No.
you have them, they're ready, we just
Although-
don't see them this evening. Okay,
The
but we're
one-
not in a position to approve anything because of the variances required anyway, so we're really getting to just continue with the aesthetic review, so that's okay.
Well, can you help me understand, how do we finalize the aesthetic review so we can move on and order windows and prepare for the construction of the house? Because right now we're obviously in a holding pattern.
Well, I mean, I want the rest of the bar to have an opportunity, I'll talk process. I mean, since you have one universal application here for the greenhouse and all of the other items as well as the house doesn't require variances, but the rest do. And unless you're gonna carve out the house and separately and ask for an approval just on the house changes, you're gonna have to wait till we get the review of the BZA on all of it in
Well-
order to give you any kind of an approval that you can take to the bank,
Is
We could say
it
the right
possible?
thing. Yeah.
Right. Is it possible we could vote on the house and the gates tonight so that we can order windows? Because it's very
Well-
long lead items, particularly in COVID.
Well, let's hear what the rest of the members of the bar have to say. And we can discuss that. Does anyone else, do any of the bar members want to dive in and give some comments on the changes shown here?
I'm
And-
delighted with the changes on both the house and the wall and the greenhouse. I really feel, barring the, as it were, the BZA variance is needed. Speaking for myself, I'm ready to approve across the board or incrementally.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, no, it's looking great. The comment that I have is the only bad part, or no, I won't say bad, but the part that's that I'm not so thrilled about are the large windows, and so the rest is fine. What I wanted to see, just to placate me, was that sort of schematic view from the lake of the
I've
whole.
got that to show you.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
fantastic.
thank you.
Sure. So this is the elevation from the lake. You know, cutting just up from the lake, from the water, where the hill's up at the highest point before the house.
Ryan, I'm not seeing that. I'm still seeing the garage up.
Right.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I was sharing. Okay. There.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I think this is really helpful because I think it shows the relationship between the greenhouse scale, the scale of the glass, relative to the house, and how that ties it together. So
Yeah, no, this is great. This is so much, so very helpful. The roof lines look great, and the windows now don't seem so
It puts it all in perspective.
and the relief aspect of the central element of that window, before it was never really clear that it didn't come across that it was in relief, that it stuck out. It looked very monotonous and very flat. So that helps break it up as well. So yeah, so that's great. Thank you for doing that.
oh, sure. It was really helpful for me too.
And then we also, in the garage, based upon the comments from Bar, added back in the sort of dovecoat attributes of the garage. So you can see here, it's sort of its own little folly.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that was a good edit of Christopher's, and thank you for
Yeah.
doing that.
So we added the dormer and the window back on the street side, which we had
Right.
taken off before.
Okay.
Very handsome.
And then, you know what, just a question for Bar, because I don't really know the right answer to this, but would love your input. We're talking about, we have steel windows and then we have the zinc clad greenhouse, both of which we like, but would it make more sense to make it all steel and maintain that single materiality, or could it run both ways? With steel on the house and zinc on the greenhouse.
I don't have a problem with the difference of materials. Sometimes when it's all the same, then it becomes a little bit matchy, and then
Yes.
So no, I don't have a problem with the steel and zinc.
Okay. Thank you.
What about bar members, the gates? Are we comfortable with the materials and what's proposed?
Let me go to,
Yeah,
Thank
maybe
you.
you can
I
refresh
came
our
in late.
memory.
Yeah,
Yeah, so this was designed to be of local stone, of the same, so both materials and construction and scale as other gates nearby and throughout the park, so that it wouldn't look the way it does now. As right now it looks like a very much later addition.
yeah, here's a photo above of what's there now, the existing.
And it doesn't really connect to anything, right? It doesn't connect to a
Yeah,
fence.
so The
Right.
stone that we're proposing for the gates and the stone for the wall at the greenhouse and at the base of the house will be consistent and bring everything together, tie it together.
Mhm.
And painted wood gate, what color did we discuss for the painted wooden gate?
We talked about a light gray. We didn't present you with a color yet, but we could do that without a problem. Something that's close to, that brings out some of the color in the stone, one of the grays in the stone, kind of a.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to, because hearing Mr. Gordon's request, I'm trying to see if we have all the information we need to approve a portion so you're not held up.
It could also be, the paint of the gate could be the same color as the house, if you prefer. I think that it could be beautiful either way, or we could come back to you with a final paint color if we
Adam,
get
can
approval
you-
on the gate.
Adam, can you remind us of the color of the house?
Yeah, I've got a sample here. Propose this, so up on the,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
so
I would-
that's the
I would
proposed
just
look.
match it to the house.
Okay,
I
Great,
think that'd be
And-
very handsome.
Yeah,
great.
yeah. But we might want to see a sample of the colors on the home at some point. So
sure.
you might want to come back with just that, knowing that, this light color is favorable.
What color is it?
Um,
I'm
So
sorry.
What,
It's a
what-
neutral.
Is a neutral, yeah, neutral.
It's a bit of a warm off-white, almost cream.
Yes,
Very
stucco,
handsome.
yeah.
I would be in favor of, in the gray family, to pull out the accents on the house or the greenhouse, since it's got a stucco body.
Right. So perhaps,
It's a great color.
yeah, with that guidance, we can, you can come back to us with the specific choices of the grays as you find them and finalize that. What about the lighting? Could you refresh us again on the lighting proposed?
We don't, we have a part of the drawing at the
I mean,
gate.
or you can come back to us on the lighting.
Yeah.
I just am trying to appreciate where you are again, and I'm sorry if I don't remember every detail.
We need to submit a specific fixture cut sheet.
Okay,
for it.
good. All right, so you would have come back to us on that. No worries. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns about anything else on the house and gates?
Just thank you for doing that lake view. That was very helpful.
Great.
Sheila,
Really?
this is John here.
Yes,
The gates, the height of the gates and possibly the change in height of the pillars next to the gates are going to need a variance.
oh, okay,
They exceed 4 feet in height.
okay.
So
So the gates, we may have to hold up
Yeah.
out on until you get a variance, unless you get them lowered to avoid the need. Yeah,
Yeah, we actually, from our initial proposal to this proposal, we reduced the scale of everything,
Right, right.
yeah.
So we had,
Significantly.
yeah,
But I think as John's saying, you're
Understood.
still within the range of requiring a variance.
understood.
Yeah,
I think the only structure you may be able to approve is the house itself. The greenhouse requires some setback variances. The gates, as I just mentioned, require a height variance and possibly the pillars also. And I believe even though the orientation of the garage has changed, I think there's a setback variance there that's needed. So I think the only thing you may be able to approve this evening is the house itself.
house proper, yeah.
Let me ask a different question, just because I've never worked in this jurisdiction. What we would typically see is an approval subject to ZBA approval, so that we don't have to come back to you again. Is that possible here?
we generally do not, we don't do it that way because
Okay.
sometimes the ZBA may make some comments which affect what has to be in our approvals.
Okay. So
Um,
that the only thing we can approve tonight is the house?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Now, in order, it sounds like we have an interest in helping you do that. I need to, I don't have all of the drawing numbers and latest draft dates on the house drawings. Do you have those? Does someone have those? So that if we were to make a motion, we could include them?
Can give them to you now, but you have the set that was submitted, but the most recent submittal. Sorry, I was just.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have them all in front of me, given that it's.
So the date for this most recent set is May 20th, 2021.
And
Why don't we, if you can, Brian, read off the sheets that are particular to the house and the dates of those sheets,
Okay,
if you
Well,
could. And I'm sorry, we're all relying upon the electronic copy and not so much the physical copy.
so it's A, and this is just the house elevations, A201, A202, A203, and A204.
And what's the last rev date of those plans?
It's May 20th.
Great, that's good.
And do you want the sheets with the site plan, or is that as part of this, or not necessary?
You know, because the house is not, the footprint is not changing and it's not triggering any variances, the site plan isn't as material.
Okay, so those are the 4 sheets that have been submitted relative to the house.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the architectural changes to the O'Neill and Gordon property at 457 Westlake Road as submitted on sheets A201, A202, A203, A204, as last revised on May 20th, 2021, and subject to a return to the bar with for approval of paint samples and lighting fixtures. And and I guess if there's any landscape plans reflecting changes from trees that have to change, and not reflecting any of the properties or changes that require variances, including the garage, the pillars, the gates, the greenhouse, etc. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All against? Okay, approved unanimously. Thank you. We look forward to seeing you again after you get your variances and proceed with the project.
Thank you very much.
very much.
Thank you.
We're excited to get
The-
started on the next.
Yes, and the project is much better for your input, so we're grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, the next application is Abenis and Karbowski at 102 Turtle Point Road. Are you present this evening?
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Hi, I'm sorry I'm a little late to the meeting, but I just got out of work, so.
No concerns. You're right on time, actually.
Okay.
Okay, do you want to take a moment and describe your request?
I just have one quick question since I'm on the phone. Is Max joining me too? I wasn't sure.
I am here.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Max. So yes, so we have been planning to change our driveway, and the way it's now, it's sort of a little bit, it's messy, and the rocks are sort of causing a lot of problems when we are sort of going up the driveway. It's sort of like the rocks sort of come up around the car. So, and we would like to change it just for, you know, better aesthetics. So we would like to put in the Belgian pavers.
Okay, and I saw a sample that you had provided to John Ledwith.
Yeah.
First of all, do you want to share a screen? Max? Or
I'm sorry, what was the request?
was there anything you wanted to show us or share? I mean, I guess this is is this what's up now? I think
Yeah,
it is.
I pulled up the pictures that
Thank
we had
you.
taken, just so the board can see the existing conditions.
So we have a base bit of gravel. Have you, I know that, I'm sorry, I seem to be echoing. Do you have, or have you been able to contract for this? I know this is difficult to get the dark, the aged looking cobble. Is this one of many that you have, or is this what you're hoping to find?
No, this is Max. The dark cobble is available to us.
Mhm.
It's a little more expensive than the natural cobble, but it is available.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the bar members have any comments? John, did we notice the neighbors?
Yes, the neighbors were noticed approximately a week ago. I have received no comments from the neighbors.
Okay. Do we
I
have
have a
it?
question. Are these pavers actual Belgian block, or are they manufactured sort of some kind of composite stone that's been machined or mass produced?
No, these are natural pavers, natural Belgian block, granite.
Yeah,
They're not manufactured concrete pavers.
just they look very consistent in shape and dimension in a way that doesn't suggest sort of regular Belgian block, at least what I'm looking at.
Well, that picture, it's sort of a black and white picture,
Mhm,
and those are the cut Belgian block pavers.
mhm.
But we're not going to use these natural pavers because we're going to use the darker ones.
Yeah,
Mhm,
I mean, the one I saw looked pretty good, but it
Okay.
was one stone.
mhm.
Sorry.
Anyone else have any comments?
The draining issues have been resolved, is that correct?
As far as I know, they have been. I've submitted a plan for the drainage issues to John Ledwith. And we walked the property, and as far as I know, it's been resolved.
And the topography,
Well, we had some comments.
go ahead.
No, it's okay. Wait, yeah, there are a couple of comments that, in regards to the proposed drainage system that, we had 4 comments that should be, taken care of. It's not regarding color or anything like that, but at some point, I think you can work with John to get those resolved. Thanks.
Have you seen those comments and do you have any response?
I have the comments on my computer, which I can't access now because I'm at this meeting.
I understand.
If you could
Okay.
just read them out to me, I can respond to each one.
Andy?
Sure. So number 1 was that you submitted a plan labeled driveway plan sheet 1 of 1 job number 5678, prepared by Peter C. Kirch, professional land surveyor. That drawing shows a proposed trench grate across the driveway with a detail for the drainage chamber that appears to be connected by a pipe to the trench grate. That's just a basic statement of fact. Number 2 was that you should provide a construction detail of the trench grate itself, including indication of the grating material and color if necessary. The grate itself is going to need to extend to the full width of the driveway so that you don't get, so that you're capturing all the water. So it's not, so none of the water coming from the driveway is going out into the road itself. Details should also be provided at the open end of the uphill side, and the pipe size should be included that connects the grate to the proposed storage chamber, because that wasn't, that didn't appear on the drawing. So that's item number 2. Number 3 is the site plan / survey shows regrading of the area of the proposed drainage chamber. The applicant should provide existing soils data and calculations to show that the drainage chamber will adequately accommodate the stormwater. And then the final one, number 4, is the survey / site plan indicates a gravel driveway. So the pavers aren't called out on that drawing. So we just wanted clarification that the existing, whether the existing gravel driveway was going to remain or that the pavers were in fact proposed. It's just a clarification of the note on the drawing.
Okay,
It still says gravel driveway. Okay,
so let's see if I can go backwards here.
that's
It is
it.
a- It is a gravel driveway, and the gravel will be removed and replaced by the Belgian block.
Okay,
The chamber was engineered to catch the amount of water coming off the driveway, and the chamber is spec'd on that plan.
right.
We dug a test hole at the location of the chamber where it's shown on the plan to make sure that it's not bedrock. And we were able to dig down and install this chamber properly. The grate across the driveway is going to be cast iron. And the channel is going to be made out of concrete, the channel itself, covered by a cast iron grate. The entire width of the driveway.
Okay. How about the connection from the
The
grate?
connection, yep, the pipe is going
chamber.
to be a 4-inch pipe, which the
Okay.
engineer thinks is sufficient. We can put in a 6-inch pipe, it really doesn't matter.
No, we just need something on the drawing to state, size. That's all.
Okay.
And provide some data to verify that backing up the assertion that this chamber will adequately accommodate the stormwater. I mean, you can get that information to John, and he can work with you.
Okay, we can do that.
Right, John, that's okay with you.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with that. They do have a plan that I put on the screen, which shows some detail. And if I feel we
Right.
need any more, I'll make sure we get it and supply it to you, Andy.
Okay, thanks.
Does anyone else have any concerns or comments? Subject to confirming over time that the stormwater and drainage are reflected in the drawings and acceptable to the building inspector. As far as the aesthetics, are we ready to have a resolution?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, then I would like to make a motion to approve the dark gray natural Belgian block driveway pavers being proposed for 102 Turtle Point Road, the Ibanez and Karbowski property, subject to confirmation with the building inspector that there are no stormwater drainage issues and that the drawings are properly reflected. Do you have a drawing number and a date on what you're proposing here that I need to reflect, John?
Bear with me 1 second.
There's a drawing dated April 19th, 2021.
Okay, as reflected on the drawing, April 19th, 2021. And could you tell me the name of your firm again? By,
My firm?
yeah. that
Oh,
prepared the drawing.
Willow Tree Builders.
As prepared by Willow Tree Builders.
Sorry, no, we didn't prepare the drawing. That was
Oh,
prepared.
that's
by-
right.
I'm sorry, that was prepared by Peter C. Kirch and Associates, land surveyors and
And
planners.
Okay,
It's sheet 1 of 1,
sheet 1 of 1.
job number 5.
Yeah, there it is.
Ah, okay. Got it. Okay. So sheet 1 of 1, job 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, good evening. Okay, Mr. Myers, thank you for your patience. Are you still with us?
Great, I am here. I am here, excellent. So thank you all for this opportunity to present our request on paint colors, on painting the exterior of the house. If I can, just by way of introduction, just say a couple quick things, and I'm joined today on the Zoom by Randy Florkey, who's project managed the entire thing for us and is going to speak in just a moment. Also, if I can, to say by way of introduction that John Ledwith has been hugely helpful to us in terms of what we needed to do, especially on the interior of the house. So John, I want to thank you for your ongoing guidance from the beginning and ongoing as we embarked on and continue this incredible labor of love of restoring this amazing house. For those, I know a lot of you quite well. For those that I don't know or haven't met yet, I've been a resident of Tuxedo Park for 24 years, owned a home up on Circuit Road for 18 years, sold that in 2014, sadly, because I got divorced. Otherwise, I would still own that home. In fact, I tried to buy it back from the people I sold it to at a premium, and they wouldn't sell it back. But and I've had, in the interim, an apartment at the club, which I've maintained, and then bought the Psalm House last year. My kids went to Tuxedo Park School. They were baptized at St. Mary's. We're very connected and feel very integrated into the community in Tuxedo. And I always knew we would end up back in Tuxedo or end up buying another house. I'll be honest, I didn't think I'd buy the Psalm House in my wildest dreams, in part because of the size of it and the scope and everything that it entails. But as I think all of you know, after Alex, who I knew quite well, I don't want to overstate, I didn't know him very well. I knew him reasonably well and had been in his home many times. But as it had sat on the market after he passed away for a number of years, again, the price kept coming down. And I'll be really honest with you, as a very quick backstory, but a friend of mine or an acquaintance of mine in the city, a hedge fund acquaintance, was going to buy it or was thinking of buying it and asked my opinion and showed me the floor plans and his architectural plans. And he was basically going to gut the house. And so that combined with the fact that the price kept coming down, I really wanted to move on it, and I bought it. And really in part to save the house. Frankly, I was very worried about someone coming in and just completely knocking through walls and ripping everything out. And I say that for the reason that all of you will appreciate and all of you know, which is it's one of the very few houses left in the park that actually has all of its, or almost all of its original detail, by, de facto having been built and owned and lived in by only one family. So it really does retain almost all of its original detail, which is really an incredible opportunity, really. And so,
Well, thank you. First, I'd say thank you for saving it, even if you might have lost a friend over it.
Yes. Yes. Well, yes. If I won't. I'll spare you his plans because he was going to spend a lot of money on it, but it was going to look very different. That's all I can tell you. And I will, as another quick aside, tell you that we did make a few internal changes, but so modestly. We did take out the 1970s elevator. I know it was a favorite of some people. It was a really big favorite of my children. It still worked, but it was such an eyesore. It was put in the 70s by Alex's mother, and it just blocked your view from the front entrance into the house. It just really was right there, and it was very ugly. So we did that, and the only other changes we've made internally, just to be clear, and you guys are welcome anytime to come over, and I'd love to give you a tour of it, is we did knock through the walls in the kitchen. It was a very small kitchen. It was a laundry room, kitchen, and breakfast room, and we did knock through all of those walls to make one much larger family room, kitchen, and breakfast room that are all connected now and open. So you can now see all the way across when you stand in there. It's actually really, I'm biased, but I think an incredibly positive change. And then the only other internal change we made is we did take over an adjoining bedroom. And sorry, this is maybe way too much information because it's not the purpose of this, the reason we're here today, but just.
But it's nice to hear your enthusiasm, and it is.
Oh yeah, oh no, this has been the most exciting thing that I've worked on, literally, and this is my 7th or 8th renovation between, at a farmhouse in Pound Ridge, New York, and several co-ops in the city. But the only other change we made internally was we did take over one of the smaller adjoining bedrooms that next to the master or primary bedroom to create a master bathroom or a primary bathroom. The original master bathroom was this tiny closet, which we've now made a walk-in closet. But anyway, so I think that's a positive change. But in addition to, or I'd say aside from that, what we've done, just by way of updating you to get to where we are now, which is the need to paint the outside, is we've spent a huge amount of time. We really repointed and in some cases almost had to replace, but repointed all 16 chimneys, some of which were literally crumbling from the inside, relined them, repointed. It was a massive undertaking. And in fact, Randy will tell you this, but of everything we found that we knew we would find things that were either hidden or unexpected, that actually was the most expensive issue for us, was actually literally bringing all the chimneys back to working order. And in fact, some of them had been sealed in the 1970s, apparently, during the energy crisis, which is interesting. So we also opened them. But anyway, that's an example of one of the things we did. We've restored the roof. It's still ongoing, by the way, but we did not replace it. We restored it. We're using the same slate that exists, and we have replaced or are in the process of replacing all the copper gutters with new copper gutters that look fantastic. In addition to the chimneys and the roof, and again, it was all 16 chimneys, we had to upgrade and redo all of the electrical. The electrical was, as John Ledwith can tell you, so far out of code and incredibly dangerous. And that was a massive undertaking. We literally took the baseboards off of every single room, numbered them, redid all the electrical, brought everything up to code, and then put every baseboard back. There were many rooms where the wires were like literally on the outside of the wall, running up to the ceiling. And, so anyway, we really completely upgraded the entire house on the electrical, which was very badly needed. We had to redo quite a bit of plumbing. Again, not the whole house, thankfully. It was in pretty good shape, but there was some that had to be done. We also did something that was very badly needed and kind of obvious, but the house was not insulated. literally was not insulated. The family originally didn't use it in the winter when they built it 121 years ago. And so it was a massive undertaking, and we insulated the entire house. It's a very different house inside. It doesn't echo as much. It's actually warm now in the winter. It really has been a remarkable undertaking there. One last thing, if I can just mention, is on the windows. As you can imagine, because almost all the windows are original to the house, literally. And they were in incredibly bad shape. I mean, literally the range was from almost, air coming through them to, really the range was from that to also really bad. And we made the decision, instead of literally replacing all of them, which is what most people probably would have done, would have come before you to ask for permission to do that. I made the decision, which was a hell of a lot more expensive, but we had and still have a crew on site, and have now for 6 months, that have taken 75% of the windows out and restored them on site, and then put them back, and put them back with the original weights and pulleys.
Wow.
And all the original hardware has been restored. And in a few instances where there was a broken pane, like a leaded glass, we did replace it with leaded glass, obviously. But it's really been a massive undertaking, literally taking the windows out and putting them back. And I'm really glad we did. It's taken longer. It's a lot more expensive, but it really just makes the house look completely.
Thank you for sharing that background. It sounds very exciting, and we're lucky to have you, I think, in the park still.
Great. No, thank you. That may have been too much information for all of you, because it brings me to the reason that we're actually here, which is the paint colors. And so, John, I don't know if you can share the screen with what we submitted, and I can, with Randy's help, I can kind of walk through it. So on this picture, if I can, at the very top, actually, one more quick context comment. We've spent the last 3 months, Randy and I, and my partner, John, and everyone else, really trying to figure out what the right color combination is. As Randy can tell you, my instinct was absolutely to default to the original colors, it wasn't even a debate for me. I'm like, we're going back to the original, we're going to keep the original color, and that's where we're going to end up, because it's the right thing to do. What has happened is that as we did work on the outside, as we were doing some work on the windows, we had to repair some of the wood around and stuff. It became clear that the condition of the outside was pretty bad, but the house had not been painted in decades, literally. And so the reason I'm mentioning all of that is it's taken me quite a while and to get me to where we are now, which is where we'd like to ask your permission of a different set of colors. And the reason for it is the following. If you look at that top photo, the drone shot of the house, it looks incredible. That was the real estate broker's photo to sell the house. The truth is that is heavily filtered, heavily filtered. And if you go, and you're all welcome anytime, it's a little bit of a construction site at the moment, but you're welcome anytime. And I know you'll do an on-site visit most likely anyway, but at any time, just walk up there. You'll see that the house does not look like that. That is a beautifully filtered color. What it looks more like is the photo right below it. John, if you could just do that, that's what it really looks like today, without the saturation and other filtering. And if you keep going down, what we discovered was that, again, that's another filtered real estate photo, which looks lovely. What we found, though, is that the original colors are Mayflower red, and the shutters were green. The shutters are not on the house at the moment in any of these photos. They are in some of them, but not in some of these here. They are in the real estate photos. The reason they're not in the more recent photos is, like with the windows, we've taken every single shutter off, and they're being hand restored and will be put back. And so they're all off right now, being restored. Those are actually being done off-site and will be brought back. But again, I wanted to just make that quick point. And so when we did Mayflower red on a small part of it with the green shutters, it really looked like Disneyland. It just was so incredibly bright and actually almost garish. And so So that really got us thinking about, okay, what else would actually not only look incredibly good, but be true to the architectural history of the house, to the heritage of the house, and also be hugely additive to the neighborhood, right? To my neighbors, to people that live near me, that have contiguous properties that walk by. Tower Hill Loop, as you all know, is a very widely walked and biked route for a lot of people, and they can see the house. And so with all of that in mind, this is sort of where we started heading. So John, if you could just move forward in the presentation. Again, that's what it looks like without filtering. This was one of our inspirations, actually. Sorry, if you can just go back up to the one right before, John, sorry. Yeah, well, a little bit more on that. This is one of our inspirations. I don't want to overstate it, but it's actually a little further. It's the Baker House in East Hampton. So John, just the next slide.
Oh, no, no.
Other way, yeah.
Other direction, sorry about that.
Is that all right?
Right there. So Baker House, for any of you who've been out in the Hamptons and know the property, is an interesting, I like the colors for many reasons. Coincidentally, the house was actually built in 1899, the same year that the Psalm House was built. Secondly, it was actually built by one of the members of the poor family that built the monastery. Again, totally coincidentally, by the way, but I kind of like the Tuxedo connection just personally. But we were trying to go with something that looked good, looked authentic on a Victorian revival home. And I would argue the Psalm House is kind of Victorian revival / arts and crafts / kind of a couple other things, but that would look good. So this is one idea that kind of helped us narrow in on where we wanted to try to end up. So if you keep going, John, you'll see that's the back of it. Yep, and so here's, and I apologize because this is just unfortunately not a good photo. We obviously have not painted the house. This is a computer generated and not a particularly good example. It doesn't bring out the colors. But this is the direction we'd like to head, which is, again, a sort of gray, not green, but sort of a really nice gray color, and then a tan where the stucco is. And then the shutters will either be charcoal or black. So that's the kind of combination that we're going with. It's quite difficult to do these CGI images, unfortunately, and get the shutters the exact color and all of that.
But it is very helpful as a starting point for us. We appreciate it.
Yes, so it's just this is for reference. This is not exactly what it's going to look like. And in addition, if I can, just the wooden balustrades or the wooden banisters that you can see here on the main porch, but actually go all the way around this side of the house. Also, we're in such a state of decomposition that we have a specialist woodworking company in Massachusetts that is recreating all of that by hand, literally offsite, and we'll bring it, but literally recreating it exactly to the same dimension, shape, and everything. And that banister will be painted the same color as the house, the Nantucket gray. So just to make that point as well, to keep it all consistent. If we keep going, and these are the colors, the Faro and Ball colors that we're proposing. And again, we're open to suggestions. So this is not this is exactly, we have to have this, but this is where we'd like to go. And the reason for it, and I can again stress, this has been 3 months of work where we've painted small parts of the house. Probably, Randy will correct me, but probably at least 15 to 18 different color combinations, trying to see what really looked good, and again was authentic and not only visually appealing, but also real, right? That respect the history of the house. If you go forward, that's what, again, the other side of the house without the shutters, but what it would look like more or less. That's the proposed colors we'd like. One of the other ideas was to mimic our neighbor. I don't know his name actually, but he owns the big house he built recently that he painted in a kind of blue and white. Is that who it is? Okay. Yeah. Yes. I don't know him, but the house is contiguous to ours. the property is. And while that is appealing, it just feels a little too bright to me. And you know, we decided I would rather not do that. I feel it's a little Me Too-ish as well, too, almost copying a bit of what he did. But this was one other one of them that we narrowed it down to. And if we keep going, you'll see the back in kind of this color as well. Again, it's just not as warm, I don't think. It didn't feel as visually either appealing or warm. Then this is the Nantucket red. This is the original color of the house. We matched it literally with a specialist to get the exact color using literally an old paint chip. It's hard to get a sense of the green shutters. You can kind of see it there, but again, computer generated images never quite do it justice. But you can really see how painted it just, to me, it looks almost cartoonish to me. It took me quite a long time to get to this point where I was not going to default to or want to default to the original.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah.
I just don't think it bears much discussion. I think that you found exactly the right combination, and you've given us so much for how you got there. It was fascinating to hear the entire story of the renovation, and God bless you for doing it, first of all. But it is an arts and crafts house, you know, that incorporates Tudor elements and shingle style elements and a variety of other things. It's very, you know, in the spirit of the age.
I think we just lost Rob. Did we lose Rob?
Yeah, perhaps.
Okay. Oh,
I
sorry,
think
maybe.
he's trying to say that he loves it.
I think so.
If we get him back, maybe
Yeah, as soon as
maybe-
anybody comes back.
maybe I
Do
can
any of the
end-
other members, not to interrupt, any of the other members have any comments?
or before, can we just end
Oh,
on the
sure.
last slide? Is that all right if we just end up, just
Sure,
go down, and I'll
sure,
tell you
sure.
why. If you could just keep going, Rob, keep going one more. Rob, I know you got cut off. I'm just going to show one more slide and then
Oh.
come back to you. So,
Yeah.
so right there. So these two, if you look at the one right above this image, you'll see that's essentially what it is today. You can see we were playing around with color. And then if you go to the very last, a little below that we have painted that right there. Sorry, if you can just stay on that image. We have painted that in our proposed colors so that when you do an on-site visit, you can actually see it properly. And I'm not sure the shutters will be on in time for your on-site, but we will make sure we have at least one or two so they can be seen. And we're open to charcoal or black. I'm leaning a little more charcoal. So sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to end on this slide.
When you mentioned black, that was the one detail of anything you've said that sounded off to me.
If you go back to the colors we've selected, it's actually not. It's like if you go back to the
No, sure. I understand that it was downpipe, the Farrow ball.
yeah,
That looked great. It was when Charles,
that's the color.
right? When you mentioned black, of course, that I think that wouldn't work, and it wouldn't really have been used in the arts and crafts, at least in this combination. And but the Farrow ball downpipe, again, I think it's just a masterful combination that you and Randy and the whole team have come up with. I mean, others may feel differently, but I just wanted to speak up because I see how hard you worked. I think you narrowly avoided some pitfalls. For instance, I think trying to mimic the Whitty house would not have been a good choice from where I sit. But I know the house you're talking about in East Hampton, and I think this is just a great solution.
And I'm sorry. So I'm Randy Florkey. I helped project manage this and design. There is actually a lot more of the Farrow and ball green in the roof than you realize. And so the color just blends really well. It is very contiguous, very smooth. And I think it's a timeless kind of, it's kind of the marriage that we're making here between respecting what it was originally and what it can be going in the future. I'm hopeful that we've hit on the right combination, and I hope that you will give us approval to do so. We had really worked hard to try to keep the stucco natural because but so much of it had deteriorated that we had so much patching to do that it looked patchy. There was no way to equalize it without painting the stucco. And it just looked really dingy, all of it. It looked really dingy. And I will say, to compliment Charles, he has been a very willing partner and a great steward of this project and has really let us do what was required to get it right. I just am finishing or have finished the restoration of the historic governor's mansion in Minnesota for Governor Walz and his wife. And it has a board, a governor's residence board of 19 people. And I need unanimous decisions out of 19 people to move the sofa. And I'm not teasing, I'm not lying. So like, I'm very respectful of this process. I understand it. And I am very much about keeping, I think that this house, and I've done several houses, interiors in Tuxedo Park. I don't think you will notice that it's been renovated when you go through this house. This will be the reaction of people will be, I cannot believe that they've maintained this house this way all these years. It is going to have a very unrenovated feel. Even the kitchen, breakfast room area, we had cabinets made that the doors are about an inch or an inch. It's meant to look like a large original kind of servant's kitchen, as opposed to a splashy East Hampton white on white kind of kitchen. It's going to feel
Well,
very
Wait, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but I have some other people that are waiting a long time, and our focus is really the exterior, and it sounds fantastic. And we're gonna have to come for a site visit, and maybe you'll give us a peek.
And if
Right,
I can just
anytime.
jump in, Randy, to your point, I mean, and thank you for making that clear about the way in which the verdigris or the green echoes through. I mean, you can see it, the photograph you've got there, it's evident even here. And so if it's more evident
And wait
beyond,
till you see it
great.
with the copper. The green and that with the copper is spectacular.
I'll bet. It's,
Quick question.
I just think it's so inspired.
Yeah, so,
And the balustrading will be the same color as the trim. Is that-
Yes,
Correct.
yes.
The
Yes,
wooden flooring will be the same natural wood. That's not going to be painted. Is that correct?
Correct,
And the
correct.
same with the beautiful wooden front door.
Correct.
correct.
And that'll be the same black trim that it is now, or will you change that to be the same gray
And
as?
the hinges,
Yeah, the hinges.
that'll stay as it is.
Okay, great.
Good.
Perfect. Well, I'm game. So this is fantastic, and congratulations.
Thank
It's
you.
a labor of love and music to our ears. Yeah.
Yeah, and Randy said it won't look like it's been renovated, but I can tell you it was almost probably Alex loved this house, but it was 80 plus years of deferred maintenance, let me tell you. So, it was,
They used the styrofoam packing peanuts as insulation in the attic. That was the only insulation in the house.
Charles, I'm guessing you took away the aquarium too.
yes, yes,
Oh,
exactly,
shucks.
exactly. But you guys
well,
are
this
welcome.
is
a
a
heartbreak.
historical and famous house in the park, and it's wonderful, the story you're telling and giving it a new life. I have to say, I have to admit, and I like the original colors, and I like your new choices too that bring it in, bring it forward. I'm one of the few that don't think it looks cartoonish, but I also do like what you're proposing. And if ever anyone else disagrees, I think we should have John help us to set up a site visit where we can see everything you want to show us.
Great, great, anytime. And when you're there, if you have time, please, let us give you a tour of the inside.
I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great,
Okay, well, and we'll set that up soon, see, so we don't hold you up.
great, thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, you guys.
Congratulations. Thank you for coming and thanks for the backstory.
Great, thank you.
Okay. All righty. So, Hugh, are you here?
I just arrived.
Oh, good. I hope you hadn't been waiting too long.
No, 30 seconds.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, so, I have a dark screen here I'm not sure what's going on.
You can't see me?
Now I can. Okay,
Oh,
very
pretty
good.
exciting, huh?
All right, so we understand that you have come up with a new color combination you would like us to consider. Do you want to share that with us?
Yes, it's the same Metro Gray stucco color that you
Right.
all so enthusiastically endorsed the last time. But we have changed our bachelor blue to Vermont slate. It certainly is not the same thing that you all proposed, which the name of which I fortunately forget, but it is, I think, a movement and a long distance in the direction of what you suggested. And what you will end up with is a light gray as the stucco color, which is actually quite responsive to just about any color you would use for the trim, because we know that because we checked out several colors. We accepted that this house is large, it is not square, and it needed to be both grounded, my wife's word, and also dignified. And so we chose Vermont Gray as a color that offered both. Vermont Slate, rather, as a color that offered both. And we hope you like it.
Okay, do we have any comments from the bar?
Has a physical sample been made available for us to see?
For the last 2 weeks, but nobody has come.
Oh, I wasn't aware.
I wasn't aware of that either.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that it had been
It's
painted
been
on.
up on our wall in various different configurations, and you're welcome to come by anytime. But
Okay.
you can see it from the sample.
Mm-hmm.
We did it on the front of the house, we did it on the back of the house because the light is different.
Mm-hmm.
A question, Hume. So at one point, someone had sent me what was supposed to be the new color, and it was called Wolf Gray. And then that sort of went by the wayside. What happened to Wolf Gray?
Wolf Gray was a composite manufactured by my wife from different Benjamin Moore paints. We were uncertain of being able to reproduce it in the kind of bulk required to, paint the whole damn house. And second of all, she and I both liked the darker Vermont slate, which we ended up proposing. And proposing is maybe not the right word.
Part of the reason I was asking is that one of Nanaya's main concerns had been darkness. She was trying to avoid something that she saw as black many times.
We still don't want it to look black. We don't believe the Vermont slate looks black from the road.
No, it doesn't. It looks deep blue. Yeah, right.
It's much deeper than what we
It
had
is.
proposed. And it's
Yeah, it
also
is.
much less vibrant as a hue than what we proposed. And therefore has more dignity and weight. It brings the house down to the ground, but it's not black and white. And that's what we didn't want.
Understood.
Well, it did seem to have far less of the blue hue.
Doesn't have any
than-
blue hue. If anything, it has green.
Well, I'm not sure. No, it does have blue hue, but it has far less than what you'd proposed before. So it is definitely a step in the right direction.
Does anyone else have any comments?
I'd be happy to take a look at the physical sample. I wasn't aware that it was available to us.
Yeah. Yeah. So we apologize. We didn't know there was a physical sample on the house, or we would have come by. But I like the direction that you're going myself personally. And would like to see it on the house and.
Well, let me make a comment. I am
Yeah.
grateful to you for saying you appreciate the direction we're going. We're thoroughly sick of this process.
No doubt.
And we don't want to extend it any farther. We sent you the information. We didn't invite you over to our house. We should have, but actually it's been up on our house in different places, 3 different places with 3 different angles, 3 different light sources for more than a week. And I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to be critical, but you didn't express any curiosity. In any case, we would like a decision tonight.
To be fair, I don't think we learned about this color until, what, a day or 2 ago?
Tuesday, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, look, we would really like to get a decision tonight if possible, because we have painters who have already primed large sections of the wood on this house. And they have paid for a boom. Oh, by the way, when they pay for things, we pay for them. They have paid for a boom and, 4 ladders and 7 workers a day over here painting this house. And they can't be delayed without significant cost overruns.
Can I ask a question?
This is our 3rd meeting.
It's Wolf Gray, which I think is a Benjamin Moore color, because I looked it up. Is that something that you would, if we could vote on that right now and just, you would not accept?
No, we
because
so,
it is a Benjamin Moore color, to be clear.
Okay. So it's
not
really,
I don't know where that came from that you said Denai had mixed it. It is, in fact.
well, the color that we had sort of regarded as the competition for Vermont slate was in fact a combination of colors, which included bachelor blue and your bottom of the ocean gray. And, I think that was just it, but it was a mix of those things. And the real issue was, what were the proportions? The painter, I regret to report to you, was unable to be what I would call rigorous about the answer to that question. And in any case, we got the Vermont slate painted up on the front of the house, the back of the house, and the westward facing side of the house against Metro Gray. And we liked it from all different angles. And that's our choice.
So, so Wolf Gray is not on the menu then?
No, it's not being considered.
Then if it's the gray that you're talking about and various board members want to see it, I don't.
I would hope we could get a decision tonight. If you want to come by tomorrow,
well, let me ask
of course you're welcome.
Let me ask the board this question. Are there enough members that are favorably inclined towards this new color that if we were to approve it, subject to a site visit that was acceptable and the color remained acceptable, they would not have to come back?
I would sign on to that, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fair. I could see it tomorrow. I'll be in the park.
Yeah, I could see it tomorrow too.
I can see it tomorrow.
Yeah, agreed. That's fine.
Yeah,
let's do
so
that.
what I would like to do, which I think is the only compromise I can think of at the moment, not having seen it, is to suggest that I make a motion to approve the colors of 24 Tower Hill Road as proposed, Benjamin Moore, Vermont slate, and Metro Gray base, subject to a site visit by the bar, which confirms that the colors are acceptable.
Great.
Is there a second? Oh, wait, Mr. Spire, are you okay?
I'm okay with that if the site visit is quick enough to allow our painters to stay on schedule.
Well, I've heard at least myself and another that can come tomorrow. I don't know
We
if
can all
anyone
come
else.
tomorrow.
I think we can all make it tomorrow.
We'll
That's
be
fine.
there tomorrow.
That would be perfect. We will,
Okay.
do you like sugar and cream in your coffee or not?
No need.
We'll
no
be
need.
there tomorrow, and John will set it. John, is there a time, maybe you can set the time up with the hue that works for them, and we'll get that set up. But first, let's do the vote. So all in favor of the motion. Is there a second first?
Second.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
Agreed. So you have your approval subject to the site visit tomorrow.
Terrific. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay. Let's see what else. We have one more addition, and that's the Crawford application at 81 Laurelard. Are you on?
I'm on. Hi.
Hello, thank you for your patience.
Thanks for including me last minute. I appreciate it.
Okay, do you want to share with us what you are requesting?
So would it, sure, I'm on my phone because my husband has dominated our other computer for his Zoom. So I'm hoping John can pull it up.
I think he's starting to.
So
there it is. We
Great.
see it.
Okay. So that's our existing garage. It is white and it is big. And so we're hoping to paint it the same color as the trim on our house, the F6 green, just to make it disappear and blend in a little bit more with the house. So we would paint the doors and all four sides of the garage that color.
So the whole garage will be that color.
The whole garage.
Mhm.
John, do you have
And
a
then-
picture of the house?
No, I'm sorry, I wasn't provided a picture of the house.
Yeah, I apologize. We painted the house last year. We painted all the wood trim, that color green. The house is white and stone.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and it's across from the village office. If you want to see it, I can also email pictures of it out tomorrow. So the proposal is to paint it green. And then I'd like to ideally put in 4 sconces, which I included in the application. They would all be very low light. The idea is to almost mimic a gaslight lantern. And then it doesn't have any uplight. It has a cap on the top. And then we already have 4 pots, which we would, plant as well. And John, can you show the lanterns I'd sent today?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull that up.
Sorry about that. I sent it all very last minute and John was really gracious to put it together.
While John's pulling that up, a question, do you not feel that it'll be very blocky, all one color without any accent, without any complementary color, in the same way that your house has complementary colors, do you think?
I think it's very blocky now. I think it's a 90s garage and it's one, come out and see it because it's one that's difficult to add any accent color to it. It's just one big block. So unless you did a different color door, which I don't think would be too attractive, we kind of just want to make it disappear into the landscape. We're trying to grow, roses or some vegetation in front of it. We have boxwood in front of it. Right now, it's sort of a feature of the house and we don't want it to be. It's not pretty. So we want it to just sort of disappear.
What about the architectural?
The house has enough going on where it's pretty. The garage doesn't need to be highlighted.
There was some architectural element you wanted to put above the door openings, is that correct? Or
yeah, so we were thinking if we go back to the design, I sketched out if we just put like a little molding on top of each door, just to give it something more interesting than just a big cement block. Is it possible to pull up the
Is John still with us?
John?
Can you see?
John, can we pull up the drawing again? Yeah.
He's trying, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
This is the drawing you provided me. Can you see it?
No.
Hold on one second.
No, not yet.
I'm sorry, I'm jumping around.
It's okay.
No, I'll pull it up now.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
Is this what you were talking about?
Yeah. So I just sketched out doing a little bit of a crown over each door, just so it's not such a big cement block.
Mhm.
And
And
then
John,
just a
which-
very simple sconce.
And John was going to show us that, right?
Yeah, let me see if I can
Yeah.
find it. If I can just ask one question, Chrissy, what happens to
Yep.
the wood lattice work on the side of that garage that faces the Laurelard Road?
It stays.
It stays.
It stays and it's treated. So I don't think we would paint that, but I mean, I'm open to it if that's what the bar prefers, but I think as of now, we wouldn't paint it.
It's treated, but it's sort of a wood stain or what?
It is. It is.
Oh, okay. Well, that's would offer what Christopher was sort of asking for. It's a bit of a compliment, right?
Sure.
So it's not monochromatic.
Sure. We're happy to leave that.
Okay, well, I think,
And then there.
please go on. Go on.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. No, is there lovely large planters? Are those terracotta or what are, or stone or what are those?
Those are
in front
terracotta.
of the
They're out there now. They're terracotta. They're
Okay.
sort of what we were left when we bought the house. Eventually, I'm hoping they're going to be concrete and really beautiful. But as of now, they're terracotta.
And what are you
But
gonna-
that too gives you
A little pop.
complementary.
And then if
color,
we pull
yeah.
up the sconces, they also pop too. They're more of a copper color. And I think they're going to be a really nice accent.
Mhm.
And are the fixtures on the house copper presently?
No, they are not. I'm trying to think. We only have 2 fixtures on the house, and they're more sort of a green patina.
Okay.
The rest are sort of spots in the wood around the house and the trim.
What's the age of the house?
1890.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble capturing the pictures of the sconces. Bear with me one more moment.
Let me see if
And what will you do with the Colombian flag?
you have to ask my husband about that. That's an ongoing conversation in our family.
One second.
And what's the roof? It's a flat roof, right? It's like a
It's a
big-
flat roof. Yeah, and it does have, it's not copper, it does have metal around it. It must have been done before the copper roll. It's not a gutter, it's just sort of like a little crown out of a metal. on the
Flashing.
top.
And the Essex green, is that the same as tuxedo green or not? Or is that? Do we know anybody?
It's
Similar,
similar.
right?
We tried to get as
It's
close
very,
as we
very dark.
could.
Mm.
One moment.
Oh,
I think I found.
John, if you don't see them, I can always email them out after this.
I got it.
There we go.
There they are.
Okay, yeah.
And you
So
said
that's our
without
little
the-
pop.
There's a
Sure.
couple.
So we would actually remove the stack. So the light would be very, very dim, very subtle. And we want to mimic almost a gas light. We're not going to put gas in the garage, but we want to get as close as possible. So it does sort of feel like the 1890s, more like an 1890s building than a 1990s building.
They call that the gas.
Not that, yes. So those are examples of it. Not that 1990s wasn't a great era for architecture, but we do want to try and honor the house.
So when you mention the stack, you mean
Yeah.
The chimney?
The shade.
So the little, see the little, how the little, yes, exactly. So it's going to be without the stack. And so if you go, John, can you go to the, that one, the porch with the chairs, the second image. If you
Oh,
can
yeah.
zoom in on that a little bit. Okay, so that is gas. We're not doing gas, but it will look very similar to that. And it's going to be a very, very subtle dim bulb.
But it would just be a bulb?
It would be a bulb. It would be a bulb that mimics something that looks like gas.
like the entrance gate of Tuxedo Park, that type of bulb
Yes,
that flickers?
exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
fun.
Yeah, so, we're just trying to make it blend a little bit, disappear a little bit,
Mhm.
be a little bit chicer, a little bit of less of a box.
Mhm.
That's something we haven't been able to approve in the past. And that's come up on a few other applications. We can't have an exposed bulb,
Yeah,
even though I'm not totally opposed to
Oh.
how it looks. It's something.
We can do it,
I mean, if the glass.
we can
is
do it with
somehow
the stack.
clouded-
We haven't ordered them yet. So it comes with the stack and without the stack. So if you prefer that, that's no problem. We haven't ordered them yet.
Do they offer glass options for the lantern itself?
They don't,
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, that's
and
generally
they
the
don't offer
way.
other colors, but I thought that would be a nice pop.
Yeah, because it's as Josh had said, I mean, personally, I love the direction you're going. But historically, we've voted on pretty hard line on what will allow.
Yeah, I mean, if it was somehow, you were able to somehow mute the glass.
Well, does the stack itself allow for enough intervention to pass muster or not?
I'm trying to remember what we did on the 2 Circuit Road application, because this is a very
Yeah.
similar light.
That's when I joined the board.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, I think we did something with the glass.
Right.
Yeah,
But this supplier doesn't offer that, Chrissy, that option on the glass?
Like a frosted glass.
Or just
Right, or some type of
yeah.
like a
stressed or-
bubbled glass or a.
No, that's it.
That's it, okay. Well,
Yeah, I mean, that.
one
that-
question, I
you-
mean, the kind of bulb that they're talking about is not exactly a bulb as such, right? It's just sort of a flame, is that right?
Well, I think the
Mhm.
concern isn't that this applicant won't do the right thing, but that a future owner of the home may not respect
I see.
a bulb is easy to replace.
Mhm, mhm.
So let me get more specifics, but I don't think it's one you can substitute with a bright bulb. I think it's a very specific bulb that goes with it.
Well, the
The company is pretty
lantern idea-
purist.
The lantern idea is a good one. I mean, perhaps you can also take a look at some other manufacturers. Just to see. I mean, there's more of these in the park, so you might find one you liked, knock on a neighbor's door even.
Well, and I'm with you on
That's-
the chimney or hurricane, if you will. I think that the look is much cleaner and more attractive on the porch picture. So
So
it's just that we're kind of hands tied unless the glass can be altered.
So the lantern does exist elsewhere in the park. That's where I got it. I won't say who because I don't want it to be in any kind of violation, but it's up and there's 4 of them and they
Yeah.
look great.
Yeah, well,
And no
we
one
can't
said
say that
anything.
everything's come before us. and-
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I think that's
This
as
is
far
what I
as we
got.
can go for this evening, but maybe you can come up with some other ideas and check with the manufacturer. Also, perhaps you want to paint a sample so that we can take a peek.
Sure. I can do
Is
that
it-
this weekend.
Another option could be to check in with the local glass company. That there's not many of these fixtures, what your glass options might be to diffuse the bare bulb.
Sure.
Glass is cheap.
Sure.
Not that you need a
Um,
loving hands at home project on the weekends, but
Sure. Okay. I'll come back with more options. Sure.
thank you.
Thank you.
problem.
Thank you
Okay,
very
all
much.
right. Thanks, guys.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Bye.
Desiree, I'm still reviewing the minutes of the last meeting, so I would ask that we postpone an approval of the minutes tonight.
Okay.
And I think that's all we have on the agenda, right, John?
That's all that we have. Do we just want to note for the record, I guess what's happened at the Mincy and Worthy property that at least I brought to the board's attention that I wasn't, I didn't feel that what was being installed, met what you guys approved just a month ago. And there is some understanding that the board's going to allow some time for that stone to show its colors, should I say?
Well, my understanding is that there's a 6-step process that hasn't begun yet in order to create a patina similar to Serpentine Road and similar to the old stone presented. I think, and unless anyone disagrees, that the bar's prepared to allow the applicant, based on that approval and representation, to complete her process to patina the stones to give them that aged appearance that was represented. I don't believe they had agreed to buy antique stones, so they believe they can achieve that with the process, which we will patiently and eagerly wait to see the results of.
That's fine. That's all.
Does anyone else have any comments?
I just have a question about that.
Mhm.
The stone that they're going to use is locally sourced stone.
I never asked where the stone was being from.
If I remember correctly, I think they said they were going to.
I thought so as
Right.
well, but yeah.
I mean, stone, if you think about the stone that was installed 100 years ago in the park, it all looked new. It just takes a little bit of time for it to have that same look. So if it's locally sourced stone and they're going to go through the extra process of trying to patina it, I see no issue with that whatsoever.
That's fair.
Yep, I think so.
Thank you. So with that said, there's no other members of the public on that haven't had a chance to speak, I assume. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone. Thank
Good night.
you.
Thank you, Sheila.
Good night.
Bye.